trip to Location Scout. So after you have brainstormed your ideas, you've come up with the concepts, it's now time to go find the location that'll help you do the concept that you've decided on. So for me, normally I do a headshot shoot in the spring separate from the big model shoot. However, this year, because of Corona, I'm combining the two, going out of town and doing the headshot shoot one day, the model shoot the next day, and we are going to Charleston. So I'm in Charleston location scouting a couple of weeks before. A lot of times you can't necessarily go to the place that you are going on a destination shoot because maybe it's too far away, but luckily Charleston's only a couple of hours for me, so I was able to drive down here. I'm going to check out the first location, which I think is going to be Rainbow Row, because their headshots, they're wearing their LKP T-shirts, which are these bright colors, and I think Rainbow Row, which if you've ever heard of it, is a row of colorful houses in Charleston. I think that'll be perfect, so I'm going to check that out. The big model shoot is going to be on the beach, so we'll check that out later today, but I wanted to take you guys to see what it is I'm looking for, so let's go. So a couple of things I'm looking for. Number one, light. That's the most important thing. You want to make sure the light is right. So be sure to, if you can, go location scouting at the time of your photo shoot. We are doing this first headshot shoot in downtown Charleston on Rainbow Row, which is a bunch of buildings. So luckily, the buildings kind of provide open shade, so I can start a little bit earlier than necessarily waiting on sunset. So I also want to check out the backgrounds and the colors, find the specific spots that will go with the t-shirt, but I also want to see exactly where the sun will be, so I will use my compass to find out where it sets, so I know exactly where I can put them and the light to be exactly what I want. So let's check out a couple of spots that I found that I'll be using in my photo shoot. So now I'm on the hunt for a pretty background. My colors for my brand are sort of a coral and a light blue. So I'm looking for that perfect coral backdrop because the t-shirts they're wearing are the light blue color with coral writing, and I think that'll be a nice match to their t-shirts, and I think there might be one right down here, so we're gonna go check it out. Okay, so this coral house will be such a perfect backdrop to the t-shirts. This part of the house is a little dark, however it gets a little bit lighter right here, and since we're only talking about headshots, I think that little corner right there will do perfectly. Okay, so another thing I'm going to look for is variety. So I showed you the coral house where we're going to use the corner. They can lean against that column, lean against the fence, but I also want somewhere where they can sit. Of course, they could probably sit on the ground and lean against something, but they could maybe find some steps like these to sit on. So definitely want not only a good color like this coral, but also different variety for posing. So something to lean on, something to stand on, something to sit on, maybe a railing to lean on, a column to lean on, steps to sit on, a house to lean up against, those type things, so I can make sure to get a little bit of variety in the photos. So I also spy some water down here, so we could always walk right down here and get a water view. There's also some steps, there's a railing, so that gives me a little bit of variety. So not only do I have the perfect colored house, but I can get water in the background as well. So when you're location scouting, just make sure that you can visualize different poses that you can do. You have places that you can sit, stand, lean for your girls, and it gives you the variety you're looking for as far as the backdrop, the color, all within walking distance. This is all basically a block that I'm going to use for the photo shoot. Okay, so now I'm going to look for a couple of other spots within walking distance, just again looking for variety. And there is this awesome alley that I've actually used before when I came down with a friend of mine, that I think will be really good. It's got good light. I think it's got interesting detail. It's got lots of textures with the rocks and the cement and the brick and the greenery. So I think it'll look really good. I'm thinking that we can line the girls up straight across and do a nice group shot here. I love group shots where they're all touching some way, somehow, not necessarily standing the same way. And because I have such a large group and this is a little bit tight, I will definitely have to make sure they're turned so they don't take up as much space and they can squeeze in together right here. But I think this will be a great spot for a group shot. Okay, so the last thing I'm gonna look for is one last spot to go with this awesome bubblegum pink car that we rented for some of the shots. So the car is super cute, convertible, Figaro, I think is what it's called. And it is going to be the perfect prop for this photo shoot. But because it's pink, I think we need a blue backdrop for contrast. And this house I spied earlier, which is such a pretty color blue, and it has these beautiful window boxes, and there's a nice little parking spot right out front. So I think if we have the car parked right here, and I try not to get run over in the street, I can shoot this way and have such a cute backdrop for the pink car and the girls. So I imagine the girls like sitting in the convertible, maybe standing out front of the car, maybe sitting in the driver's seat, all while this beautiful blue is in the background. Okay, so I've done a lot of location scouting. I found a couple of spots. Now I need to ask permission, knock on some doors, see if it's okay. Also, if you're going out of town, you really need to make sure you look up their rules because they can be different than your own. So Google, look on their website, call the city, just see if you need permits or, you know, have to have permission or whatever. I know for the beach shoot tomorrow, I did need to call and verify whether I needed a permit or not. There's a couple of different beaches down here and they're all different rules. So I found the one that was the most relaxed on the rules, and that's where we're headed next to Location Scout. But downtown Charleston, there's lots of fashion bloggers, there's lots of Instagrammers that take photos in front of these houses. So I know just from personal experience that these houses are used to being in photos. I just want to make sure that the owners are okay with us taking photos in front of them. Another thing you can always do is not necessarily get right up next to the house, get in the street and just have the house in the background, because the street's public. So I think you can probably get away with that a little bit more than a privately owned home. But hopefully they're going to be super nice, and I'll let you know what they say. Okay, so just to recap, when you're location scouting, make sure you try to go to the location if at all possible. So if you're doing a destination shoot and you can go ahead and go a separate trip to check out locations, do it. If you can't, then Google, ask photographers, get in Facebook groups, find out who has been there, has shot there, where they shot, find out as much information as you possibly can. Sorry, a car was going by. As much as you can, and then on the actual trip, build in an extra day for location scouting. That way you don't have to take a separate trip, but you can go a day early and make sure these locations are gonna work for what you're looking for. Number two, make sure to look at the light at the time of day you'd be shooting. So today is super overcast, and I unfortunately can't help that. I have, you know, a limited time in Charleston, a location scout, but I can use my compass. I can see where the light would be. I can figure it out that way, see if it goes behind the buildings or if it faces the building, so I know exactly where to put the girls and make sure the light is right. Number three, check on permissions, permits, things of that sort. Make sure you have permission. When you are traveling with a big group like I am, you draw attention. So you definitely cannot get away with not asking permission because people are going to notice you. If it's you and one other person, you know, you might have a little more leeway, but it's still always a good policy to check permits, permissions, etc. Make sure you're not doing anything you shouldn't be doing, okay? And then lastly, just make sure the backdrop fits your concept, helps that concept come to life. And like I say, this particular location is for my t-shirt headshot shoot. I knew the t-shirts were pretty blue color with coral writing. I wanted the color background to match those, or to at least coordinate with those, so that it really was bright, colorful, and was all about my brand, which is what this headshot shoot is for. So this location, Rainbow Row, is gonna work perfect. Now I'm gonna take you to the beach and we'll check out that location for the next shoot, which is the big model shoot, which is a boho beach picnic theme. So stay tuned.